Welcome to Workflow Approvals for Xpages, creating a new app summary. In this session, we're going to cover in summary form, what we covered in session 3 and 4 in far more detail. There's a check sheet in the admin designer help, and you can use it as you develop your new application. So let's get started on taking a look at the process of building a new application, in this case the vacation requests. The first step in creating a new application is to create a database where the specific information for this database is going to be retained. Understand the structure is that each application is contained within its own database, and the design that's within that database is the specific notes type application items, no Xpages or custom controls. When you create it, take a look at the application on the application to the access control and set the control to some reasonable sorts of values and the access. I generally start with it fairly open and then lock it down as we go along. We need to make sure that your server is the administrative server, and then also when I look at the application properties, that allow document locking is set for this database. Next, I need to create our vacation request form, and I've done that, and the form doesn't really have to have anything in it except this subform, the hidden field subform, must be on every one of the data forms that you might create. In addition to that, there are all of these views, and essentially you're going to need all of those pretty much as is. You can add additional views to be able to show your information in different contexts. Notice here also in the forms that these 4 forms are the only ones you must have in this database from the design template. It may show the demo forms coming from that template, in which case you can delete them if you wish, or you might use them as examples and go and see some of the things that we have done in there. So having now got our database created, we'll switch over to the web browser and take a look in there. From within the web browser, you go to the applications and you're going to create a vacation request. Here, make sure that the replica IDs are all correct. Make sure there's no colon included in any of them. Here is the prefix that we're going to use for the reference number. These are the databases to open for viewing and for CRUD. We're going to create a navigator, VR nav, and we'll do that in a minute, and VR default view. And we have determined that we're going to create a role for a VR manager. Return to the view, go to the profiles, and I'm going to open here. Now in this database, in this example, there's just one. You can accept the default values for most everything that's in here. Need to come to the technical, make sure that you've added the correct address for the website and for the notes client and the Xpages that we need to start with. Notice that also that we pass it some parameters. Now it's back to the designer to complete the design. Next, if you're going to use rules, and I really strongly suggest that you should because it keeps the rest of the design much cleaner, then this is the time to create your rules. And I've created a form for the vacation request rules, and and so it's going to contain a department, a type, and the list of approvers for that. Very simple, very straightforward. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some views, and we're going to create the view rules. And in this, it is sorted by the department, categorized, and then there's the type, and the approvers are listed in it. Pretty simple and straightforward. And then I've created another view called View Rules Lookup, and it's a little different in it has a key value, and the key value is the department, a tilde, and the type. So if I know the department and I know the type, I can get this specific rule. So from the rules database, that's all that's required. Now that we've got the note side set up for the rules, let's do the Xpages part. So I've created a custom control called VR Rules Input, and this is the form. There's a data source attached to it, and it locates the rules database by using the app properties, passing at the application I want, and says get the file path for the rule. Then I've added in this, which is a custom control called the edit bar, and it needs to know the data source that it's going to work with, and it basically takes care of all of the submits. This is just a combo box that allows me to enter a department or enter a new department. The type, where I'm going to enter a type for this department, and then this is the picker, the name picker for the approvers, bound to the approvers field. Got the data source for the document 1, and in this case we can have multiple values, and you can pick groups, people, or roles. Now I'm going to create a rules view, and to do this I've just brought in the custom control cat1 template, and specified where to get what view to get the rules from, the category 1 from, where to get the data from, and that we're working with the rules database. And that then when I come into the designer, I come and I can add whatever you want to display in here. I've created a label that has gets a view entry data, gets the column value for type, and it also has an event on it, so that on click what it does is it sets SSUNID to the universal ID, sets a selected form to the VR rules form. This line here, SS first, is used to control if we do get paging that we come back to the right page when we leave, and then it redirects it based on the application to the correct page for input. That's all that's required there, and we'll go on from there to our actual vacation request document. Okay, I've created an input document, an input custom control called CCVR doc input. Here it is. Now, if you remember, as we went through the demo or the previous session, that this custom control has no data source attached to it, but I did attach one when I created it so that it picked up this data source automatically as it went through, and I didn't have to type all that in. A little more convenient. When you do create this and you want to put a data source into here, then setting up the data source can be a bit of a pain. You've got to make sure that you've got all of the pieces in it. So what I like to do is this is from the demo, and it's the basic the basic demo item. And notice here's the data set. So if I just cut that out of there, go over to my document, go to the source, and paste it in here. Now all I have to do is see here, it's going to use WFS. The form I'm going to be using is form VR, and that's all I really have to do. The rest of it is picked up automatically by our old friend apps prop. So if I come in here, now I have access to that. However, once I'm finished entering all of the information in here, before I use it, I must ensure that I remove the data source, because I'm going to define the data source when we get to the next step, which is where we're going to go right now. Okay, so I've created a custom control which I've called CCVR doc, and into that control I have added the custom control CCWFS doc main doc template, which is going to be used throughout this. I've already set the default profile in here so that it's going to look at the vacation requests. This is a place you're probably going to have to change it because it'll be pointing to somewhere else. And then and there's all of this stuff. Now this is again where I would have entered this from the same place that I did before. Now I've got the main doc and the form VR. So this is the data source that will be looked at by my input VR doc input when it gets placed inside this custom control. We come down here, we added in the button bar, added, and it will always look to the data source WFS main doc. Here's the header, custom control. We added the logo, this text here, and then into the main body facet, I just pasted the vacation request input. No properties needed here because we bound all of our fields to WFS main doc. And so that's done and ready to go. We're not quite ready to go and start using the application yet because we haven't defined any navigation parts of it. So I go up here to the top and I've selected the CCAA nav, and this is just a container of a navigator to start working with. Saves a lot of time and effort. So I'm going to copy it, paste it, and I'm going to rename this. And I would rename it to, because this is what we defined it as, VR Nav. No, it's already there because I've already done this, but let's just, so I'm going to delete this because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go down to the VR Nav. I'm going to open this, go to the navigation items, and notice that here they are. So I have my actions, and if we, I'll just slide this up a little bit so we've got it all showing. The My Action view, this will probably say CC Demo Default View when you copy it in here. I'm just going to change it to VR Default View, which we are going to define in a minute or two. And then change the submit value to CCVR Default View XSP. The rest of these things will all basically be acceptable the way they are. This will probably be pointing to the demo rules, and you need to change it so that it points to the VR rules. Same sort of thing as we had up above. Save that one, and we're moving right along. Next, I'm going to take the AAA summary display, and I'm going to copy it, rename it to summary display. I'm not actually going to do it at this point in time because I've already done that. And I come down here to the VR summary display and click on the computed form field here and to the properties of it. And you'll see this line right here that says, okay, customize the data below. What I did is in here, I think this piece here is the same as it is in the demo, so I just left it. And then I said, get this doc, get item value string to get the employee. And then I get the type. Now you can make that as involved as you want. This code down below is going to add additional stuff to the end of that list to tell what the status is of that person. But having done that, I'm going to save this, save the VR summary display, and that's completed. Before the summary display that we just created is fully usable throughout the whole application, I need to open the CC summary display. This is the dynamic page again. And notice as soon as I click on page in the source, I get this, and I can now look at the actual code. Notice I've got this set as true, and I don't want it because I don't need to print out everything now. Now in here, we're going to depending on which application we're working in, we're going to use a different summary display. I've entered in the case value for vacation requests and set the page equal to ccvr summary display.xsp. That's what we just changed. And then and so that will now work the way that it's supposed to. And so we're through with that piece. Now finally, within the custom controls, I'm going to make a copy of the default view and rename it to VR default view. And I'm going to come down to the VR default view, open it, and when we get down here to this display point, it will probably be pointing to demo summary display, and I just want to change it to VR summary display, and it's going to get the parent unique ID from the value doc data. Because the summary display or the default view uses a full text index to get this value, it actually returns the document UNID instead of a view entry as the other ones do. But that's all that we have to do here. And so now we're finished with all of the custom control side of it. We'll need one change to the Xpages for the main input Xpage. Okay, now I'm going to open up the main Xpage, main input Xpage, and again we've got one of these dynamic input processes. I'm going to go to the source, click on the page, and I can now look at the code in the code editor. I've got the debug set to true. I'll set it to false. If you run into problems, the easiest thing to do is just come in and change those values to true, and it will print out information, and you'll be able to trace through what's going wrong. So again, if the application is vacation requests, it's going to use the VR main input that we created a little while ago and display it, and then come back down here, and now that it knows that, it can display the correct page, and then it will get at the page and redirect to it properly. Again, using the app props to be able to do that. So I'm going to save this, and now we're finished with the design. So let's go take a look at it in Xpages. Okay, here I am in Xpages, signed in as myself. I'm going to select the application, vacation request. We don't have to do anything else. And here we are in the My Actions view. I can select the history. I can open the document, take action on it, return to the view. I can go to the request, overview, approved. Of course, nothing has been approved yet, denied. Then down here in the managers, we can see just the profiles for this application, the vacation request rules, the approver automation, again, just for this application, and then pending transactions if there's anything for this application that has not been processed. So that's it. You can now go and create your own application within WorkfloW approval with those simple, I think it's about 9 or 10 steps, and you can go to the using help for the administrator client and see the checklist. Thanks for being with us, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. If I can be of any further help, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email or visit our site. You can get additional information from there as well. I look forward to being able to help you in any way that we can. Also understand that WorkfloW Systems does custom application design. So if you are just getting started with Xpages and need some help, we can do a collaborative effort on getting you up to speed and working with Xpages in workflow approval. So have a good day and thank you.